Welcome to EV-olution. My name is Andre Lawrence, and this is my channel about the transition from gas-powered cars to electric cars from the perspective of a first-time EV owner. When I'm a volunteer at the Quebec Association for Electric Vehicles, I'm usually parked beside a Kona, and we let people test drive the cars. What happens more often than not is that I either get asked or told that the e-Niro and the Hyundai Kona are the same car, when in fact that isn't the case. And it's not just a question of little details, there's something a little more major. And if you want to find out what those differences are, stick around and I'll let you know in 10 seconds. This is the Hyundai Kona Electric, and in this particular case, this is the preferred trim, the entry-level trim, and I put that in quotes because electric cars are fully loaded regardless of the trim level you get. The differences in most cases are strictly related to luxury items like leather seats or sunroof, things that are non-essential. What things are essential? If you look at the Kona Electric, in the preferred trim, you get all of the safety features like rear cross traffic alert, you get lane keep assist, the intelligent cruise control, you get winter mode for the battery in Canada, as opposed to the e-Niro EX, which is the entry-level version that they handicapped completely. There is no winter mode for the battery, there is no lane keep assist, there's no rear cross traffic alert, there's no detection in front of the car. They just eliminated a ton of basic things, including heated seats. In my mind, in Canada, that's unthinkable. So why would I say you should get a Kona first before you get a Niro EX? Well, the Kona Preferred has everything. All you're missing is the sunroof, the 8-speaker or 6-speaker sound system, the leather seats, the ventilated seats, which I really like, but again, non-essential, and then a couple other little details. So if you've watched other videos about the Hyundai Kona Electric that talk about the comparison between the Niro and this car, the first thing that people are going to talk about is the fact that the wheelbase is shorter. And that means that there's less rear passenger room as well as less trunk space. So let me start by getting that out of the way, and then I'll talk about the other differences and similarities between the two vehicles. So here's the back seat of the Hyundai Kona Electric. You'll see that the car has a decent amount of room, but less than the e-Niro, which I'll show you right after. When I sit in this car, you can tell that my knees are relatively close to the front seat. My feet fit underneath a little bit, and it's fine. I would say that in this car, I could probably go half an hour and be okay, but on a 4, 5, 6 hour trip, I would probably get restless because I really don't have a way to rest my legs in a comfortable way. So here's where that extra wheelbase comes in the e-Niro EV. It's the back seat room. When I sit in the back of the e-Niro, as compared to the Hyundai Kona, my feet fit under the front seat, and I still have plenty of knee room as compared to the Kona. I'll put an inset of the Kona so you can see the distance between my knees in that car versus this car. So there's definitely more room, and it allows me to sit without having to spread too much to still have support for my thighs. So on a long road trip, the e-Niro EV is definitely an advantage. With regards to trunk space, the Hyundai Kona has slightly less trunk space. It isn't a huge difference, but let me measure it and show you exactly what it is. In terms of depth, I have approximately 28 inches from the seat to the plastic edge right here. And in terms of width, if I go to the widest point, I have 48 inches completely to the back, but in terms of usable space, I've got just a hair under 40 inches of space. So let's see what it is in the Niro. The e-Niro EV's extra wheelbase allows for extra passenger room, but it also allows for extra trunk space. The usable depth of the e-Niro is 30¼ inches versus the 28 inches in the Hyundai Kona, and the usable width of the trunk in the Niro EV is 41¼ inches versus the 40 inches of the Hyundai Kona. That might not seem like a lot, but it is something that can be substantial when you're trying to get that extra suitcase in, and that extra inch or two allows you to put it in, whereas in the Kona, you'd be unable to close the trunk. So what happens when you line up these cars in a totally non-scientific way, but have them close enough to show what they look like side by side to get an idea of the different body shapes and the reason that the cars are different in terms of rear passenger room and trunk space? The interesting thing is that when these cars are lined up wheel to wheel at the front, the nose of the Kona actually protrudes a little bit more than the nose of the Kia Niro. The Kia Niro has a more stubby nose when you compare it to the front wheel, as opposed to the Konas, which protrudes a little bit more. The front of both vehicles for driver and passenger are almost identical in terms of passenger space. The difference really happens once you line up the B-pillars. From the back of the cars to the B-pillars is where the difference is. The Hyundai Kona's rear is slightly shorter than the Kia Niro's rear, which is why the trunk space is a little bit larger in the Kia Niro. And the rear passenger room is much bigger in the Kia Niro because the wheelbase is longer, which allows for that extra leg room and makes it comfortable for passengers in the back on longer road trips. Now, even though this is the Hyundai Kona electric preferred trim, which doesn't have leather seats, sunroof, and a few other technology gadgets, essentially the car is the same as the Ultimate and will allow us to show you the difference between the Kia Niro EV's interior and the Hyundai Kona. In terms of the center console, the biggest difference is that the Hyundai Kona has a bridge as opposed to an open center console. That means that getting into the lower portion is a little bit more difficult, but there still is quite an amount of space. And actually, in the Hyundai Kona, there's more room under the center console than the front portion that's open in the Kia Niro. Another difference is that on the dash, the screen for the car is protruding and raised as opposed to being completely integrated into the dash. Another difference that you'll notice is that the gauge cluster is slightly different than in the Kia Niro, but all of the menus are essentially the same in both cars. Regardless of the trim level, whether it's the Kia Niro or the Hyundai Kona, both of the vehicles have excellent technology and incredible range for the price. The difference in space is what really is going to make the difference, as well as the look. That's more of a personal thing. But in terms of usability, it really is a question of, do you need that extra rear passenger space or not? In the case of some owners, you're never going to put anybody in the back. The Hyundai Kona is going to be an excellent choice and offers a greater rated range than the Kia Niro. Now that I've given you a brief overview of what some of those differences are between the 2019 Kia Niro EV and the 2019 Hyundai Kona Electric, let me introduce you to the owner of this car, Frank Segliniaks, who drove in from Waterloo, Ontario, at about 800 kilometers one way in his Hyundai Kona Preferred. And come on in, Frank. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too. I quite enjoy your videos, by the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, tell me why you chose the Hyundai Kona as opposed to any of the other models that are available in the market.
Well, I had certain criteria. I wanted to be able to drive back and forth from work comfortably. I have about 150 kilometer round trip, but also I often go to Toronto from Waterloo, and there I sometimes drive around Toronto, and I want to be able to do that in the winter time without having to charge in Toronto. Just being able to charge up in Waterloo, drive back and forth, and get there without any kind of range anxiety. As well, as you can see, I'm kind of a tall guy, so for me, fitting into a car is kind of a big thing. And what a lot of people come down to is price. So once, we got into a price that was more realistic.
Now, you picked the preferred trim, and like I mentioned, it's missing some of the luxury features, but earlier off camera, you mentioned that you chose this trim specifically because of one feature that's missing, and you're glad it's not there partially, so I'll let you explain why.
Well, it's kind of counterintuitive. People think sunroof, a tall guy would love a sunroof. You can like stick your head out, but unless you're actually sticking your head out of the actual roof and going above it, it's not very practical because of the mechanism that they have to put in for the sunroof. It takes about 4 centimeters down. The ceiling is about 4 centimeters lower in the models that have it than the ones that don't. And when I test drove the Ultimate, the higher version with the sunroof, my head actually did kind of touch the ceiling, and that's not going to work, of course. So when I was looking for the model, I knew that I had to get one without the sunroof.
Now that you had the car for a little bit, when did you get it exactly?
About a month ago.
About a month ago. And what's your impression so far, especially considering you've driven 800 kilometers? What have you liked and what have you not liked so far?
well, I guess maybe I'm still in the honeymoon phase, but after this first month, I'm loving it. I love the not having to go to a gas station. That's of course a big thing. By far, the most important feature, the one I like the most, is the adaptive cruise control. During my commute, I often hit stop and go traffic twice on the way there, twice on the way back, and it's just so much more of a relaxing drive when you can just hit that cruise control and it'll just keep the distance from the car in front of you, and you don't have to think about it.
Well, thank you very much for your time and for bringing in your car. Thanks again, I appreciate it.
It's been great.
Thank you.
At the time I'm filming this portion of this video, I haven't uploaded to YouTube in approximately 1 month. Something happened to my family, and my family being priority number one, everything else got pushed to the side, and that's why I'm late posting a video. So I'm sorry for being late, but other things were much more important than this. With that being said and out of the way, at the end of my last video, the Tux Mat Car Mat review, I had my first official t-shirt quiz, and I was wearing that t-shirt looking kind of silly. But I did have a winner. The first person to get the answer correct as to what that t-shirt was Trent W. Johnson, who guessed that it was from Rick and Morty, Season 2, Episode 4, and that it was Summer and Tinkles. Congratulations, you're a huge nerd, just like me. I would also like to make a mention of my Hidden Features Part 2 video, where I was wearing a t-shirt, and it wasn't really the t-shirt quiz, but I had kind of started that idea there. And I was wearing a t-shirt with Dungeons and Dragons on it, and the image actually comes from the player's guide from the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And that was guessed by Chris Baker. Congratulations to you. Previous to that, I had a video at the Lake George, New York trip, and the t-shirt that I was wearing at the end of that one was actually from The Princess Bride, and several of you made comment on that one. It seems to be a popular movie. I loved it as well. As I've mentioned in a couple of my last videos, I have a target of reaching 1,000 subscribers, and I'm really close. It's mind-blowing because I'm kind of late posting videos. I'm at 962 subscribers so far. And what I mentioned is that if I got to 1,000 subscribers, I would give away 10 t-shirts to 10 of my subscribers, picked at random. The t-shirts will look something like that. And I'm almost there. It's kind of crazy. Thank you very much to everybody who has subscribed so far. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button and click that notification bell to be notified of when I post videos, since I kind of don't really have a schedule so far. And if you like this video, please click the thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, please put them in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.